They were there. And then they were not. No warning. No explanation. No argument that you could point to and say, that is why. One day they were present, warm, responsive. And the next, silence. A silence so complete, so deliberate, it felt like the ground had shifted beneath you. You sent a message. You waited. You sent another. You told yourself there was an explanation. That they were busy. That something had happened. That it was not personal. But it was personal. The silent treatment is one of the most psychologically precise tools a covert narcissist uses. And the reason it works so effectively is because it does not look like cruelty from the outside. It looks like distance, like moodiness, like someone who simply needed space. But it is not space. It is control. To understand why a covert narcissist disappears, you first need to understand what silence means to them, because it does not mean what it means to you. When you go quiet, it is because you are overwhelmed, hurt, processing. You retreat because you need to recover. When a covert narcissist goes silent, they are working. The silence is not a pause. It is a pressure system. Every hour you do not hear from them, the pressure inside you builds. You begin to question yourself. You review every conversation looking for what you did wrong. You feel the pull, almost physical, to reach out, to apologize, to fix it, to make it stop. And that is precisely what they are waiting for. A covert narcissist uses silence because it produces a specific result, and they have learned, through experience, that it works on you. It lowers your defenses. It makes you more compliant. It makes you easier to manage when they decide, on their terms, in their time, to return. This is why the silence never feels random. Because it is not. A covert narcissist rarely engages in open conflict. They do not shout. They do not make direct accusations. That would be too visible, too traceable, too difficult to deny afterward. Silence is far more elegant for them. It punishes without leaving evidence. It creates pain without requiring them to do anything visible. If you ever tried to explain it to someone, you would sound confused, even paranoid. They just stop responding. From the outside, that sounds like nothing. From the inside, it is suffocating. And the covert narcissist knows this. They have studied how you respond to absence. They know that your attachment, your empathy, your willingness to assume the best, all of it makes you highly susceptible to the weight of their silence. They are not sitting in a room somewhere suffering. They are, in many cases, perfectly fine, living their life, watching you from a distance, monitoring whether you will reach out, how many times, how quickly, with what level of desperation. Your reaction is data. They are collecting it. The silent treatment is almost always part of a cycle. It does not exist on its own. It is preceded by something, a moment where you expressed a need, set a limit, asked a question they did not like, or simply failed to give them the admiration they required. The silence is the consequence, and it is followed reliably by a return. They come back, calm, sometimes warm, sometimes with a soft explanation, occasionally with an apology that sounds genuine, but never actually addresses what happened. And you, exhausted from the waiting, flooded with relief, accept it. The relief you feel when they return is real, but it is not a sign that the relationship is good. It is a sign that you have been conditioned. What happened during the silence rewired something inside you. You became more anxious in the relationship, more careful, more focused on managing their moods so that the silence never comes again. You began to walk more quietly through the relationship, not because you wanted to, but because the silence taught you to. That is not closeness. That is compliance produced by fear. In most cases, the silence is triggered by one of a small number of things. You asked for something, a commitment, a clear answer, more of their time. You expressed hurt about something they did. You pulled back slightly, perhaps because you were busy or tired, and they experienced that withdrawal as a threat to their supply. Or sometimes, and this is important, you did nothing at all. You simply existed in a way that was not sufficiently focused on them, and that alone was enough. The punishment is not proportional to the offense. It never is with a covert narcissist. The silence can last hours, or days, or weeks, and the length of it is not determined by how serious the issue was. It is determined by how long it takes to bring you back into the position they need you in. When they return, pay careful attention to what happens next. Is there a genuine conversation about what occurred? Is there acknowledgement of how the silence affected you? Or does the relationship simply resume, as if nothing happened, and you are expected to follow their lead back into normalcy? If there is no accounting, there is no repair. This is the part that changes everything. The silent treatment derives all of its power from one thing: your reaction to it. If you do not pursue, do not flood them with messages, do not escalate your distress to the point where you are apologizing for things you did not do, the tool loses its function. This does not mean you feel nothing. You will. The silence still hurts. But your behavior, what you do or do not do during the silence, is something you can choose. If you match their silence with calm, if you use that time not to unravel, but to observe, to notice how familiar this pattern feels, to notice how predictable the return will be, to notice what your anxiety is actually telling you about the relationship, you begin to take back something essential. You take back your own reality. When they come back, and they will, the quality of that return is one of the most important pieces of information you can receive. A person who disappeared because of genuine overwhelm will acknowledge what happened. They will be aware that their absence affected you. They will want to understand the impact. A covert narcissist will return as if a switch was flipped. Warm again, present again, sometimes affectionate, but without any real accounting for the silence. Without curiosity about what it cost you. The return is not a repair. It is a reset. And the reset is designed to make you grateful they are back, rather than clear about what just happened to you. Once you understand this, once you can see the cycle for what it is, the silence stops being a mystery. It stops feeling like something you caused. It starts to look exactly like what it is. A strategy used by someone who has learned that it works, on someone as caring and perceptive and deeply feeling as you. The silence says nothing about your worth. It says everything about their method. You're not too sensitive. You are not overreacting. You are responding with completely human emotion to a completely deliberate act of emotional withdrawal. And knowing that, holding on to that, is where your power lives. If you are watching this because someone in your life uses silence this way, I want you to know something. The anxiety you feel when the silence begins is not weakness. It is the natural response of an emotionally healthy person to being cut off without explanation by someone they care about. But you do not have to let that anxiety drive your behavior. You do not have to chase. You do not have to apologize for existing. You do not have to shrink yourself to preempt the next disappearance. You are allowed to need consistency. You are allowed to need communication. You are allowed to exist in a relationship without living in fear of silence being used against you. And if someone in your life consistently uses silence to manage, control, or punish you, that is not a relationship pattern you have to accept. If this resonates with you, if the silent treatment is something you have lived through, then I want to point you towards something important. In the next video, I go into something that is connected to everything we have discussed today. I explain the 4 specific patterns that once you see them, you cannot stop seeing them. The silent treatment is one, but there are 3 others that work alongside it, and together they form a system that keeps you confused, self-doubting, and attached. I have broken down each of those patterns in full detail in that video, and I believe it will give you clarity that changes how you see this relationship. If this channel has helped you make sense of what you have been experiencing, please subscribe. A new video is ready for you every few days, and each one is designed to give you more understanding, more language, and more ground to stand on. I will see you in the next one.